In this video, we're going to talk about assumptions and how assumptions impact challenging conversations and difficult situations. Assumptions get in the way of communication, building understanding, and finding solutions to tough issues. Assumptions make it so much more difficult. Now, the interesting thing about assumptions is that they're generally wrong. They're generally not even accurate. So imagine when we go off and act on these inaccurate, wrong assumptions. You might be going down the wrong path and have an awful lot of work to re-clarify, to reset the conversation, and to make things better. Assumptions also block curiosity and reflective thinking, and this is so important, such an important skill set in creating psychologically safe meeting spaces and workspaces. One of the ways that we can navigate assumptions is to actually ask open-ended questions. This is a great element of curiosity building, and open-ended questions really elicit more information from people. Those questions are who, what, where, when, why, and how. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. We need to be able to think about the assumptions that have been made, the ones that we've even made ourselves, and to be able to clarify them. When we're making decisions, navigating conflict, going through those difficult or tough conversations, not only is it important to clarify the assumptions, but it's important to do that as early on as possible. When we leave the assumptions unchecked and unclarified, we set up a scenario for misunderstandings, confusion, and frustration. Some examples of assumptions. Assumptions can be things like thinking that your coworkers, leaders, supervisors, team members, and colleagues would just know what you think, feel, need, expect, or want. Not so. We also believe in our home life that our family members would know what we felt, know what we meant, know what we wanted, and that's just not true. We need to tell people what it is we need, want, expect, or are hoping for. Another example of assumptions is assuming that your clients or customers, even your stakeholders, understand your industry lingo, your jargon, the acronyms you use in the workplace. Another example of an assumption is thinking that you know the intent behind why somebody said something or did something. Assumptions impact challenging conversations in a variety of ways, but some to really focus on right now is that they escalate the situation. Emotions rise, reactions start to become the way that we communicate instead of responding with thought. People can even feel trapped. This leads to reduced listening, misunderstandings, confusion, a feeling of emotional distrust, and even can impact the feeling of safety that we're trying to create in the meeting environment. It's important to know that people aren't always given the opportunity to clarify the assumption or to query where it even stemmed from. So we want to create that in our conversations. Assumptions cause people the feeling that they need to defend themselves or justify themselves. And this can really create agitation in an already difficult conversation. They change the dynamic in the conversation, and it can even take on an adversarial or evasive tone. And quite frankly, they just make it really difficult to understand what's going on, what's important, and what the possible solutions are. When you're dealing with assumptions, there's 4 tips I wanted to share with you. Number 1 is identify them and clarify them. Identify and clarify assumptions. The second tip is to ask yourself, do I actually know this to be true, factual, and accurate? Or is it something I think might be true, might be factual, might be correct? That's an important question to ask yourself. Another observation to make, this is a tip on assumptions, is to be aware of what your body is telling you. Our bodies give off physiological clues and cues that can help you identify that you're being triggered by something. that you're upset by something. So pay attention to what's happening within your own body and pay attention to what you see with others in the conversation. What are their behaviors? What emotions are they displaying? The last tip here is, what did you notice about the other person? So as an assumption might have come to surface, what did you notice about them? Did they get defensive? Did they communicate differently from a nonverbal perspective? Ask yourself these questions. When you're preparing to clarify assumptions, to bust assumptions, think about, where did you get the information from in the first place? Where did the information about the challenge, the assumption, the belief come from? Did it come from research? Did it come from gossip? Did it come from what you think you know to be true? Really important question. Where did I get the information in the first place? Second question, is the information I have and the assumption I have made based on fact and information and research? Or is it based on feelings, past experience, what I think about that person, my relationship with them? Question 3, what might the other person be thinking? Now, I am not asking you to make an assumption here. I'm asking you just a hunch. What do you think might be going on for this person in terms of how they see the issue, how they see the conversation, the belief, the assumption? And the fourth question is 3 questions that you could ask the other individual to ensure that the assumption has been clarified. I encourage you to write these questions down and then go and practice them in a mirror. When you practice them in the mirror, you get to see how you look and sound to others. But there's some other important things that happen. We build confidence. If we get stuck in the real conversation, because we have practiced it several times in front of the mirror, the words will come to us. We don't have to get all rattled. It works out the drama. And the other piece that is important about practicing questions in front of the mirror, practicing your communication in front of the mirror, is that it builds your competency and your confidence. So I wish you well in your next step of busting assumptions, being aware of them, clarifying them, to help get conversations back on track and help you navigate when things go sideways or when you're dealing with those really tough situations. Busting assumptions and being aware of them in the first place can save you so much frustration and help your conversations be more smooth.